You know what's driving me nuts?
That I'm the better looking one?
No. Waiting to check out at the grocery store. When I'm hungry, my instincts kick in and I just want to smash through the line.
Well, you should make things safer for all of us and try almonds. They have 4 grams of hunger-slaying fiber, which can be game-changing, even for a man of your stature.
Not a bad idea. But what if I'm in line waiting to buy almonds?
Stick to the self-checkout and remember to breathe.
California almonds. Own your everyday. Every day.
Are you hiring? With Indeed, you can post a job in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in on your short list of qualified candidates using an online dashboard. Get started today at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast.
All right, people, listen up. We have a big favor to ask, and we promise it won't take up too much of your time. You know our show is supported by some fantastic sponsors, right? Well, we'd love to hear your feedback. Head to podcast.study and fill out a short, anonymous survey. That's it. We swear. Again, that's podcast.study.
This is the best of Golic and Wingo podcast.
Good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome in to another edition of Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests will join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And yes, we will be on ESPN2 for the next 2 hours, and we're delighted about that. Mike Golic Jr., Trey Wingo here with you. The big man is back. You had your procedure yesterday.
I did. Had
very important.
Colonoscopy, as we talked about the day before I went. That's very important. Early detection, and make sure when it's your time to get it to just go ahead and get it. It's interesting is when I was in the recovery room, I heard a lady next to me talking to the nurse saying that I was supposed to get one of these a few years ago, and I was always scared of them, but my boyfriend got one, and I saw how easy it was, so that made me go get it. And I thought, okay, that's good. Yeah. I mean, she still was over the time she needed, but get it when you're supposed to get it. Obviously, my son Mike Jr. here, you have a little while before you need to worry about that, but it's important to do it. All was fine.
Good.
When the last thing the doctor says to you we'll see you in 5 more years, you know, it went pretty well.
That's the best possible
all
news.
Good. And then I went and ate and finished off the day with that wonderful Mission barbecue that I took home.
I was about to say, we saw the picture on Twitter. How much food? Because you went how long without eating?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, the whole previous day, and then obviously dinner Monday night.
Yeah, it was the
and
last
then I
time.
come into Tuesday. I couldn't eat did the show here, couldn't eat all day Tuesday, and into at 7:30 on Wednesday I had the procedure. That's horrible.
Well, I told Trey it was so much so that it drove you to the desperation of wanting to play golf on Tuesday. I got the text from you that said, I need to do something so I can stop thinking about not being able to eat, and so that turned into a round of golf.
Yeah, it's all wet out there, the threat of rain. I'm like, let's just go golf. Let's do something.
This is why I, on many levels, am scared of you and appreciate you, because the thought of eating was so overpowering. You had to do something that just wouldn't make you sit there and think, food.
Oh, yeah.
Food.
I had to do something.
Yeah.
Had to absolutely do something. It was,
I mean, is that the most, people talk about the most powerful drives in humanity. Is that the most powerful drive for you, just thinking about eating?
As I'm eating the meal I'm on, I'm thinking of my next meal and what I'm possibly going to have.
Hey, listen, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, all right?
You go.
We never plan to fail when it comes to food.
No, we do not.
All right, well, you're doing you then. And how was the golf, by the way?
The golf was okay.
Did you get off the tee? Because that's been a concern.
I actually got off the tee.
He was lacing them off the tee. They go about 200 yards, but they go
don't
dead
go
straight.
Far. I need more. I need a driver with a 20-pound head on it.
Yeah.
is what I need.
You don't need to swing hard to hit the ball far. That's the most important.
Well, I'm not swinging hard and the ball's not going far. So I need, but it went straight. I need some sort of driver. I'm going to need your help with this one.
Done. Because again, I can fix anybody's game.
Yeah.
Except my own.
There you go.
I can fix anybody's golf game and swing except my own. So we are glad you're with us. Listen, we got a lot to get to. We've got a great Thursday night game coming up later on today.
We do.
To start week 2 of the NFL's regular season. We got all kinds of issues going on in baseball and record-setting deals for certain players in other sports. So let's get to all of that, and let's start with what's trending. And how about Matt Olson? Homered during a 10-run inning in which the first 11 batters reached base safely, and the A's blanked the Orioles 10-0 Wednesday night. And Mike, things are getting interesting here because the A's move within 1 game of the Yankees for the top AL wild card as the Yankees lost in Minnesota 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, that's the story here. Listen, an incredible third inning, a blowout of Baltimore,
Yada,
beat
yada.
them 10-0. But yeah, exactly, yada, yada, for that. for what they did. And you mentioned with the Yankees loss, and the Yankees still don't have Aaron Judge back. They're going to get Aroldis Chapman back at some point here. But you said it, a one game separating the two now. Yankees just came off, a 9-game road trip where they went 4-5, I believe. I think, Mike, I heard you talking about this morning. I mean, they are in dire straits, it seems, right now. And you wonder if they're just, where last year you won that play-in game or, wild card game, whatever you want to call it, and then you were one game from the World Series, and you went into the season with so much hype. I got to believe Yankee fans right now aren't very hype at all, about the one game they're going to have to play to stay in it, and then how far you can go because of the Red Sox looming there.
Well, that's just it. It's having the Red Sox success, who we'll get to in a little bit, I'm sure, having that side by side with right now poorly timed injuries as much as anything. Because
how dare they time these injuries this way?
Well, and the way they happen, because we always talk about an injury happening in the beginning of the season. We were talking about Oklahoma's running back the other day. Gives you time to adjust, as opposed to Aaron Judge, who went out at the start of the month of August and we thought was going to be back in 3 weeks, and 3 weeks has turned into over a month. And so you have that. You're waiting to get Aroldis Chapman back potentially as well. And you've got all these things that happen. I mean, they were 4.5 games up going out to Oakland to face the A's a little over a week ago. And now after dropping the series to them and the series to the Twins, they got a 1-game lead they're holding on to, and the confidence in that building has to be at an all-time low.
It can't be very high. And listen, they've known that the AL East was a foregone conclusion for about a month and a half now. So they've been banking on having that home field advantage for the one wild card game. So really, right now with that 1-game lead, this is the most stressful tenure so far of Aaron Boone's time as the manager of the Yankees in his first year.
I think we have all the equipment in that room to be the club that we expect to be the club we intend to be. Baseball will punch you in the mouth every now and then. We're clearly facing a little bit of adversity right now, and we'll embrace it, and we'll be better for it. And I expect us to come out Friday ready to turn the page and ready to get after it.
16 more games for them, 6 of those against Boston, but meaningless games, quite honestly. So.
Correct. Yeah. By the way, when he says equipment, he's not talking about shin guards.
No, he's not.
He's talking about the players. Just so everyone understands.
Unfortunately, some of those players remain in the clubhouse and don't actually help them play at this point.
It is amazing. Well, first of all, they look like they're getting Aroldis Chapman back soon, which is good. But it's amazing how much play it away. I don't care. It's amazing how much Aaron Judge means to that lineup right now, because he has not been there.
And you talk about what they brought over that thought would buoy them in this time. Giancarlo Stanton. During this time period, you look at that 9-game road stint, batting about 267, but no home runs and about 3 RBI in that time. So not getting the lift from the reigning MVP on that side of the league.
So listen, it's that time for the Yankees to see if they can separate themselves from the A's, not the Red Sox, because the Red Sox became the fastest team to reach 100 wins since 2001 after David Price threw 7 shutout innings in a 1-0 win over the Toronto Blue Jays at Fenway. The Red Sox on Tuesday became the first season to clinch a playoff berth, reached a century mark in their 146th game. The 0-1 Mariners reached 100 wins in their 140th game when they went on to win a Major League record 116, but of course they didn't even get to the World Series that year.
Yeah, and so forget Boston and that record. Boston has 16 more games. They would have to go 16-0 just to tie the Seattle Mariners with 116 wins, but they just need 5 more for the franchise record. So I think out of the last 16, they could probably, scratch out 5 wins and be able to pull that one off. They won 104-50. I believe it was in 1946 when they lost to the St. Louis Cardinals in the 7-game World Series. So I think they're good there, but the single-season record for Seattle in 0-1 is safe.
Yep, looks like it's going to be safe. Next up for them now, they clinched the playoff spot yesterday, 100 wins today, and now it's, all right, win the AL East. Go out and cement that in a way that we know has been a foregone conclusion, but they toasted with champagne the other day. You get to pop champagne once you finally won the division outright.
Yeah, listen, this is a really interesting phenomenon because we had it yesterday. They've clinched our playoff berth for the first time in three straight seasons. That matches a franchise best. Every other time that they've done that, they've won at least one World Series during that time frame. They haven't done that yet, so maybe this will be the year that they continue that streak as well because they've made it to the postseason for 3 straight seasons. And by the way, the Red Sox, what everybody's talking about, brought to you by Capital One. Capital One is reimagining banking, offering accounts with no fees or minimums that can be opened in 5 minutes. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Capital One, N.A. As we said, the Seattle Storm, or was about to say, beat the Washington Mystics 98-82 to clinch the third WNBA championship in their franchise history, last done in 2010 and 2014. It is the sixth finals sweep since the series moved to a best-of-5 format in 2005, and the second for Seattle. And what more can you say about Breanna Stewart?
Oh.
She left UConn 4 straight national championships, and now she's the 6th player in WNBA history to earn MVP and finals MVP honors in the same season.
It's ridiculous, her career. At UConn, her teams won 151-5. 151-5, and 4 of those losses came her freshman year. Then she went undefeated, 1 loss undefeated. And now MVP, 6th person to be the MVP in a regular season and in the finals as well. So monster game for her. I congrats, too, to Natasha Howard. She was someone who had been a reserve in the last 3 a title series. She actually won one last year with Minnesota, but off the bench. Here, she got traded to Seattle. She's starting there. Her and Breanna Stewart playing well together. She had 29 points, 14 rebounds. Huge part of the season for her in this game where Breanna Stewart had 30 points. And then Sue Bird, I want to say the old lady but I mean, she's been around a long, long time.
The wily vet.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it than the way I was going to.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible.
That was
you did really bad right there.
10 points, 10 assists, and said she just wanted to have a beer after the game with Wingo or Emma, who was there. How about that?
There you go. And how about, again, Breanna Stewart, when it's all said and done, may wind up being the best player ever to come out of UConn, and that's saying something. And here was Breanna after the event.
It doesn't feel real yet, honestly. I think that, what we did as a team for these past 4 months, we had a goal, and that was to win a championship. And every one of us, 1 through 12, the coaching staff, the owners, everybody helped us reach this point. And, we're the champs, so I don't know.
Yeah, you are the champs. There's a lot of winning that's going on there.
It's just funny to hear her in that role. Gino, you mentioned Gino before, talking about Breanna and saying she was a really unassuming superstar. Was the WNBA Rookie of the Year, but the team's success didn't really match it that season. And because she's got that winning pedigree, the drive kicked up that much more to want to get back to this stage. And to hear the affection that everyone, the young players on this roster, talk about Sue Bird with, the way they rally around this veteran who had kind of helped them out throughout all of this, was pretty endearing. We know it's not always that way in the world of sports, but to see it play out in this situation and for them to get this win that was really dominant. I mean, we came off of finals where the Golden State Warriors were certainly dominant. This was that level.
Yes,
we know road playoff when it had kind of been evading them, but this was wire to wire. They basically came out and put the burners on right away. Also, shout out to Jewel Lloyd by there, former Fighting Irish great, getting a dub there. So
exactly right.
We're not without a ring in this either, UConn.
Sure.
We got ours this last year, too.
We are the pettiest show in America.
Yeah.
And we go from the finals of the WNBA to questions about the start of the NBA season. And Russell Westbrook had arthroscopic surgery on his right knee Wednesday, a procedure that will likely force him to miss the entire preseason and could sideline him for the Thunder's first few regular season games. They open up October 16th against the Warriors. Timing here is a little curious.
Yeah, well, it is, because a lot of times this was kind of just a clean out, and this is something from, Mike, our sport that we know about. Guys that do clean outs, we used to call them oil changes. We used to, once the season ended, everybody would kind of line up and get whatever scoped you need scoped to kind of get cleaned out. This one obviously went a while into the offseason, so it didn't seem to be bugging him at all. I'm not saying it's anybody's fault at all. This one just started bugging him as he was training, to the point where, okay, we're going to need to do a clean out. They listen, they don't obviously need him in the beginning of the season. This is one where they can rest him as much as they need to. It's a long season to get him right for when he needs to be right. But, still, whenever a guy's going under, there's no minor surgery. Whenever you're the one laying on the table and you're about to go under and they're going to go in your body somewhere, it's not minor surgery. So, and he's had 3 previous knee surgeries. I think that could be the key here, to make people say, a little bit, just the amount of work on that knee.
Well, I think actually on the other side, it calms me down a little bit. I think they said he missed the final 9 games of the 2013 postseason, but to know he's had that and still come back, because you worry about it, and we saw this happen to a much different extent and a much further extent with Derrick Rose when he succumbed to a lot of those knee injuries. These scopes are a lot less invasive procedures and a lot less structurally changing. But you worry explosive guys like Russ, because that's his game, is getting up and down the court from foul line to foul line as fast as anyone in the league, and his explosiveness around the basket that you think maybe suffers. So knowing he's got this as a part of his history, to me, makes you breathe a little more of a sigh of relief.
Yes, and look, as much as you'd want him there for the start of the NBA regular season, which begins October 16th, as we all know, the NBA doesn't really start until Christmas, and then the playoffs come around in April. So, look, take it now. Obviously, it's not ideal timing. You'd want him there for the start of the regular season as he's coming off back-to-back seasons where he's averaged a triple-double. It's amazing how much more we valued one of those seasons than the others.
How about
when it's all said and done. But look, you get it done now. You miss some games in October. That's fine. You don't want him to miss games in April, May, and for their sake, potentially June. All right, Golic and Wingo presented by Progressive Insurance, cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more at Progressive.com. So it's interesting that we're talking about knee surgery for Russell Westbrook because that is the exact thing that both Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy, and the Green Bay Packers are trying to avoid for their star quarterback after he injured that left knee in the Sunday night win over the Bears. Came back in the second half, did what he's never done before, throw those 3 fourth-quarter touchdown passes, rallying them past Chicago for the win. And now the question is, will he be able to play? As he said he would, he said after the game, I'll let you guys know what's going on Wednesday. That was yesterday. Here's what Aaron had to say about where he is in his ability to play Sunday against Minnesota.
Move around a little bit in a circle, small circle that I was moving in Sunday night. So if I can get back to that, hopefully a little better than that without pain, then hopefully I'll be able to go.
Okay, just going to move around in that circle, try to run around, make some throws. So if you're a Packers fan, do you think you're expecting to see him Sunday?
I don't know. I mean, listen, the only one more vague, and they're way more vague, is hockey. Hockey, where he just said lower body injury.
They'd probably say upper body
injury. This is a knee sprain to which we all say, yeah, no kidding. I mean, seriously, which 3-letter knee ligament was it? Was it the ACL, the PCL, the LCL, the MCL? We don't know. We all think it was the ACL, of which he's hurt before. He tore it partially as a 16-year-old playing basketball, surgery on it his first year in college, had it scoped in 2015, so he knows, as he has said, I know about my left knee being hurt. I haven't done anything structurally bad to the right knee. So this is that left knee. What we don't know is remember, gang, what a sprain is, and we don't know what grade it is. If this is a grade 2 sprain, there's partially tears in there. It's just a matter of how much it is. A sprain stretches those ligaments to the point of how much does it tear. Grade 3 is the tear, is when you're going to get surgery and it's going to be done. We don't know what grade this is. They didn't say. They just said a knee sprain. So a lot of it is going to be the stability, if it is the ACL, and then the pain he can take when he's on the run. And can he hurt it more? And Minnesota is certainly a defense that could put him on a run, and that's a lot of times where he does his best work. So a lot of it is going to be pain management because, as we know, you get that injury in a game, Mike, that adrenaline kicks in and you're able to play a little bit. That's why we said the next day and next few days, even to now, going to be very, very sore. So that knee sprain is something, but we still really have no idea of how damaging that sprain was.
No, but I look at this two ways, which is one, either they're trying to play this close to the vest because, as we've seen, coaches keeping quarterback decisions mum to try and get an advantage going into the next weekend, especially one where Mike Zimmer on the other side openly says, this guy walks on water. We expect him to be out on the field.
They'll practice with him ready to play.
And they'll practice with him ready to play. But if you're Green Bay and you think, all right, there's a chance we might have to use DeShone Kizer, we can get him ready without them necessarily planning as much with that in mind, at least having the threat of Aaron Rodgers. But I look at this and say I'm much more confident and comfortable with them putting him back on the field this week than I was going into the second half last week.
More info, right?
You've got a lot more info and you've got a lot more time. Like Aaron mentioned, that small circle. We don't have to worry about him breaking the pocket. He's smart enough and knows enough about this to where he's, instead of going to try and extending plays and make the big play, get rid of it and live to fight the next down because he's confident enough that next down can be good.
But how different could it be against? No, listen, I think the Chicago defense is getting better and better. But the Minnesota defense is basically the best in the league. So getting away with
which took him out last year
against the Minnesota defense than it is, I think, against Chicago Bear defense.
I agree with you. So there's two things to weigh there. How much do you factor in who they're playing, and how much do you factor in where you're playing? Because this is the home game for the Packers against Minnesota, which means you're going to have to go on the road to Minnesota, which is where he got hurt last year when Anthony Barr drove him into the ground, which, by the way, would be a penalty this year.
Yes, it would.
A new point of emphasis, one of the many that the NFL is implementing in 2018. So how much do you really factor in who you're playing and where you're playing them, or does that not matter at all?
I don't factor in where I'm playing at all, and quite honestly...
You want to win those home games.
Yes, you do, but I don't factor in, and quite honestly, I hear a lot of people saying just have him sit this game because it's against this defense. My thought is, if you think he can play, then play. I don't care who the opponent is. If it was a bad opponent, some would say just sit him and rest and you can win it with Kizer. There are those saying just sit him against Minnesota, take the L, and live to fight another day. I guess my thought process is if he feels like he can play, or this is what it comes down to the doctors. This is when you sit to the doctor and say, listen, if he sits another week, how much exponentially better is he going to be next week? Because this is a sprain, gang. It doesn't go right away, a knee sprain. Again, depending on the grade of it, which we don't know. So that's what you have to find out from the doctors. How much can he re-injure it or hurt it again if he plays to keep him in that kind of it's not feeling good during the week to exponentially how much does it get better if we wait another week?
Yep, and from a game plan side of things, you'll be much more adept at protecting him. The way you did in the second half, that game plan completely changed on a dime at halftime. You have much more time to figure out what's going to make him comfortable and how soon you can do it.
Golic
and Wingo.
And Wingo.
Mm-hmm. Trey Wingo and Mike Golic Sr. Delighted to be joined now by Chris Canty, of course, drafted by the Cowboys, won a Super Bowl with the Giants. Chris, you're with me, right? No matter what the record is, this is going to be the most watched game of the entire weekend in the NFL.
Oh, no doubt. You're talking about one of the most visible franchises in the world in the Dallas Cowboys, and, of course, the number one sports market in the country, which is the New York market, and, of course, the New York Giants. So, yeah, it's going to be a huge game. It's one of those games you can throw records out of the window. Both of these teams know each other. There won't be a whole lot of surprises. These two teams are going to get after it on Sunday night.
More disappointing performance in Week 1, Cowboys or Giants?
I would say the Cowboys. I mean, this is really a show-and-prove year for Dak Prescott, and he underwhelmed. Got sacked 6 times on Sunday, and a couple of those sacks he ran into himself. It wasn't the offensive line's fault. So, I think he's in a situation where he's got to demonstrate to the Cowboys that he's their franchise quarterback. Keep in mind, there is no fifth-year option on Dak Prescott's contract. He was a fourth-round pick, so he'll be going into a contract year next year. He's already talked about the contract and wanting to discuss that this offseason coming. So, I mean, in order to have those kinds of conversations, you have to go out there and produce on the field. And, the last few games, he hasn't been able to do that.
Talking to Chris Canty, ESPN 98.7 on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And, Chris, I know Dak's going to get a lot of the conversation because we've seen such great performance from Zeke in that offensive line, but how much do you look at Scott Linehan, the offensive coordinator, in all this?
Well, I think Scott Linehan has to be a part of it. And when you look at Dak Prescott, the things that make him special, being able to have certain movement skills, they haven't implemented a lot of that into their offense in the last year and a half, say. But I think that we're going to start to see more of that. Jerry Jones has talked about having a quarterback that has a little bit of mobility. Some of the things that Cam Newton brings to the table, Dak Prescott can also do, although I don't think Dak is the runner that Cam is. We have seen Dak on occasion utilize his legs on third downs in the red zone. Keep in mind the Giants did not play the read zone well against Jacksonville. Blake Bortles ripped off a 40-yard run. It's a copycat league. So I'm sure that Scott Linehan and the Dallas Cowboys offensive coaching staff, they'll see that, and they'll try to put pressure on the defense by utilizing Dak as a runner as well.
Chris Canty with us from ESPN New York 98.7, of course, a draft pick of the Dallas Cowboys, won a Super Bowl with the Giants and finished up his playing career with the Ravens. All right, let's get back to Dak here because I think, Chris, this is a very significant situation because his rookie year and Zeke's rookie year was all great. They worked in tandem. The running game was going. The offensive line was great, and that allowed Dak to do things that really he hasn't been able to do since. Dak has thrown for under 200 yards in 8 of his last 11 games. Some of that, obviously, Zeke wasn't there for the suspension. The offensive line has been banged up. But at some point, you need your quarterback to make plays, not with his legs, but with his arm. How much are we going to see what Dak Prescott really is, say, over the next 3 or 4 games?
Well, I think we're going to have a chance to see that because teams are going to try to stack the box and take away Ezekiel Elliott. They're going to present 8- and 9-man fronts to the Dallas Cowboys, and they've got to find a way to get production from Dak, especially being able to throw the ball outside of the numbers. So I think teams are packing it in, and they're going to force those wide receivers of the Dallas Cowboys to make some plays. And, it's a group that, outside of Allen Hurns, Tavon Austin, you probably don't know or recognize a lot of the names. So I think this is a challenge for this offense, and it's going to be around all season. Ezekiel Elliott can take some pressure off of him, but, as you saw on Sunday, he only had 15 carries because the Carolina Panthers talked him out of being able to run the football with a lot of the fronts and coverages that they were playing. So a lot of this is going to be on Dak Prescott. We'll see how he responds. But, Trey, you already mentioned how he hasn't been a prolific passer all the games under 200 yards passing. In the last 9 games, he's had 9 interceptions. So, I mean, this is the time for Dak Prescott to step up and show that he's evolved to being a quarterback that can beat you from the pocket.
As you guys both just mentioned, talking about the loaded box, Next Gen Stats defines that as one more defender in the box than there are blockers. In their first game of 2018, Zeke Elliott and the Cowboys faced a loaded box 53% of the time on runs. So really trying to deter that sort of behavior. So, Chris, let's go on the other side of this and look at the New York Giants, who faced, I think, a very talented opponent in the Jaguars and one that challenged them in an area of weakness for them still. What did you see out of that Giants offensive line that got a bit of a facelift this offseason?
Well, they got a facelift, but they still didn't replace Eric Flowers. They just moved him from left tackle to right tackle, and he wasn't very good. They brought in Patrick Amame in free agency, and he's underwhelmed so far. So it's a group that is still trying to find its way. They're still trying to develop some chemistry. The only problem with that is your offense is not going to be able to have the balance that you're looking for because those guys are liabilities. You saw Nate Solder actually struggled a little bit as well going up against Yannick Ngakoue. I thought that was a bad matchup for him just because Ngakoue is a sneaky athletic edge rusher, and he just, presents some problems with Solder being able to bend. But, yeah, that Jacksonville Jaguars defense, personnel-wise, was positioned to exploit some of the Giants' weaknesses. And so I think that Giants offense has been reduced to a home run hitting offense just because their offensive line can't consistently block both in the run game and in pass protection.
Chris, you know that Giant fan base extremely well. So how are they, or already are they 1 week in, not only watching their team, but they will consistently see what Sam Darnold was with the Jets and do the woe was me game?
Yeah, I mean, these two players are going to be linked for their entire careers. And everybody looked at Sam Darnold as a potential successor for Eli Manning. Just from a skill set perspective, you like what he brought to the table, but I don't think anybody imagined that Sam Darnold would have this type of success early in his career. I mean, his regular season debut, the first play, throws a pick six, and then the kid bounces back to go 16-21 and throw 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, it's impressive to see what Sam Darnold has been able to do. But again, it goes back to what the Giants were trying to accomplish when they took Saquon Barkley with the 2nd overall pick. It wasn't about the future. It was about being able to win another championship in the Eli Manning era of Giants football.
With that in mind, let's stick on that for a second, because if you look at the numbers, Chris Canty, you say, oh, look, Saquon had a big run, had over 100 yards, he had a very productive game. He did, but the problem is what we saw from Saquon Barkley is sort of exactly what we saw his entire career at Penn State. He'll get bottled up a lot, and then he'll make that one big run that's the highlight type reel. What you really need out of Saquon to be an effective rusher in the NFL over a long period of time is more consistent 4, 5, 6-yard carries instead of a bunch of 2 and 3-yard carries, and then that one big pop that makes the game look more impressive than it actually was.
No, I'm with you, Trey. It's about being able to have balance on the offensive side of the ball and stay on schedule, and that's just something that the Giants offense wasn't able to do on Sundays. Penalties didn't help matters. I don't think Saquon helped the offensive line. I think there was a lot of stutter steps. He didn't take the ball and hit the hole. So he has to be more aggressive and more decisive in his running style. But when you're getting hit on 7 of your 18 rushes behind the line of scrimmage, it makes it hard for the run game to get going. It makes it hard for some consistency. So, again, I go back to the offensive line. But, yeah, because of how this team is constructed on the offensive side of the ball, there's going to be a lot of pressure on those skill position players to make some plays just because the rebuild on the offensive line hasn't gone as well as Pat Shurmur would have liked it to.
Talking to Chris Canty on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. All right, let's go to New York's other team in the Buffalo Bills. We got some news out of there. Josh Allen going to be getting the start after Nathan Peterman's less than stellar Week 1 performance. We've talked ad nauseum about this Bills roster not being loaded around him. What's your realistic expectation for what? Let's put it this way: what would success for Josh Allen in Week 2 of this NFL season look like in your eyes?
If he can walk back into the locker room after the game. I mean, that's really what it's been reduced to for me. Because this Buffalo Bills team is one of the worst teams in football. I mean, they just don't have a lot of talent on that roster. They have a loft issue, a lack of freaking talent. So, I mean, Josh Allen is in a position right now where...
Wait, hold on. Chris, hold on. We can't let that slide.
Loft.
We can't let that... You can't drop a beauty like that and just continue on with your thought. Let's make sure everybody appreciates what Canty just did. They have a loft issue. a lack of freaking talent. We got to give you your props for that. We can't just let you slide that thing through.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Trey. We're not talking about your driver. We're talking about the Buffalo Bills team. Yeah, here's the thing. They don't have a supporting cast that's going to help their young quarterback, that's going to make things easier for Josh Allen. I mean, that's why they decided they were going to roll Nathan Peterman out there in week 1. It's not because Nathan Peterman is better than Josh Allen. It's just because they don't want Josh Allen to have to take those lumps and bruises early on in the season. But I think Nathan Peterman was so bad that Scott McDermott and Brandon Breen, they didn't have any other choice. They had to put Josh Allen out there in week 2.
Well, see, that's why you're going to be joining us all season long, because you are the anti-loft. You are the anti-lack of freaking talent. Chris Canty with us from 98.7 New York. Chris, we appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you later on.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Golic.
I tell you what, a great sports night last night. Yeah. No doubt about it.
And Wingo.
What a day, what a show, what a time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
When it comes to hiring, you don't have time to waste. You need help getting to your short list of qualified candidates fast. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. And when you need to hire fast, accelerate your results with sponsored jobs. New users can try for free at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Support for the Golic and Wingo Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying homes for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a whole lot of anxiety with folks. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about it. They're calling it the power buying process, and here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. This gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, they lock your rate for up to 90 days while you shop. Now here's the best part. If rates go up, your rate stays the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. You win either way. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Golic. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data record. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
This is an interesting phenomenon I stumbled upon, that if you just add book it to the end of any phrase, the shorter the better, it makes it immediately a hot take.
Owen says, Jaguars win the Super Bowl, book it.
That's what Alex Smith does. He'll win the Redskins a first-round loss this year. Book it.
LeBron is Toronto's kryptonite.
No.
Book it.
I like Steve's better. Josh Allen will break a table before the season starts. Hashtag Bills Mafia. Book it. Sensational stuff right there. Golic and Wingo presented by Progressive Home Insurance. Getting a quote is easier than ever.
All right. Getting a quote is easier than ever, and getting something right is better than ever, and that's Book It. Brought to you by Discover Card. Discover thinks annual fees are ridiculous. If you do too, find more at discover.com.
All right, guys, book it. You know the drill. You add book it to any of your hot take. It's a hot take multiplier. It allows you to feel like Stephen A. Smith, if only for a moment. Now, you guys ready to play?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. The NFL head coaches who weren't in their current positions a year ago will go 0-7 again in week 2. Book it.
Again, so people understand, all 7 new head coaches all lost their debuts. I think that's the most we've ever had in that category, everybody to lose, all 7 of them the first time. I'm going to say no. Someone's going to win.
Yeah.
Someone is going to win. I'm not booking that.
There's no way I can book that one again and say they're all going to lose again. That would be unbelievable.
You got the Raiders playing the Broncos, the Lions at the 49ers.
Not going to happen.
The Giants at the Cowboys.
Could happen.
The Bears versus the Seahawks.
That could happen.
The Cardinals at the Rams.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
The Colts at the Redskins.
Not going to happen.
And the Titans versus the Texans.
That could happen.
Could happen.
I was going to say, I'll go.
Although the Titans have, Mariota's banged up to Lenny Walker. Right. I really think it's either Matt Nagy or Pat Shurmur.
Yep.
I think that's where I'm leaning.
I would actually give the Titans a chance against a Texans team that looked pretty,
I think I would
tough
as well.
during the season, so I won't book this one. All right. The Yankees will be playing the AL wildcard game in Oakland. Book it.
I'm going to book that. We got just, 15, 16 games left. They're not playing well. I know they're getting Chapman back. We still don't. Owen Judge is coming back. Oakland is playing better than the Yankees are right now. It's a 1-game lead that's just slipping away for the Yankees. I believe they will be on the road in the AL wildcard game.
I feel like if I'm being honest with myself, I should say book it, but as I'm a diehard Yankee fan, no, I'm not going to book it. No way. They're getting that thing. Aaron Judge is coming back, and they're going to go on to have great success in the postseason.
You go ahead and book this one, Cliff, by the way.
Put it in the books!
You
Because
can book it.
Whoa, hey, where'd that one come from?
Wow.
Well, we move into the fall book, and everything's happening.
Busting out all the nice toys for today, guys. But yeah, the Yankees' bat's completely cold right now. You get Judge back. We're still not sure in what form at this point. Seems like too little, too late. Go A's. All right. At this point in the season, some season, Nathan Peterman will start again for the Bills.
Or at some point this season.
At some point this season. What did I say?
You said at
this point, some season.
At this point, some season.
It was wonderful. Actually.
It really was.
It was so mangled. It was magical.
That could also work.
So basically, will Nathan Peterman start again this year?
Yeah. Do you have it?
Book it. He's going to start again. Listen, 15 games left. Josh Allen going behind an offense at a line that is struggling. I think it's going to be very difficult for him, A, to succeed at a high level, and B, maybe not get even nicked up a little bit as well. So I do think Nathan Peterman will start again.
Book it. Listen, behind that offensive line with a lack of weapons, there's going to be you're not wishing this on anybody, but there's likely that someone's going to get beat up. So, yeah, I think there's a possibility that Nathan Peterman returns to the starting lineup.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to book this one. He's big, strong kid, moves around very well. I'll hope the best for the young man because Bills Mafia needs something to root for, and I have a feeling it's going to be Josh Allen in that laser rocket arm. Speaking of laser rocket arms, Patrick Mahomes will be named the AFC Offensive Player of the Week again this season.
At any time?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I think you would book that. I mean, the Army has the weapons that they have. Just throw the ball on a hitch to Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And you throw it 80 yards in the air.
Well, yeah, either way, you get let him throw it 1 yard and he runs 80, you get the 80 yards, or 80 yards, you get the 80 yards. Yeah. Plus you get Kareem Hunt, you got Travis Kelce.
Wait, weren't you the one that was throwing water on the fire that we were trying to build about?
No, you guys are
changing his tune. He comes back from the doctor and suddenly he's a new guy.
No, I hope the guy is going to be a great player, but he's not. You guys have already anointed him as this great player. I am going to hold off a little bit, but I know the guy has talent and the guy has weapons. Yeah. So to think he's not going to put up some yardage this year, I think is ridiculous. So I do think that he will be the AFC Player of the Week again.
Mike, you know who we are.
The pettiest show in America.
We're just trying to live up to billing.
You are?
Listen, like Trey's list from the other day, we're going off what we've seen right now. What we've seen is Patrick Mahomes absolutely ball out. So you can book this one all the way. He'll probably be named the AFC Player of the Week this week.
Probably at that 55% completion percentage should carry him well.
Hey, man, if 55% gets you all those points and all those yards, who needs those extra few percentage points?
Right.
Stats.
What do you got?
We got a stats guy over here.
What do you got?
Okay. All right, I got this. Doug Marrone has watched a Super Bowl in the past decade. For anyone who missed it, Marrone said the last time he watched a Super Bowl, quote, probably when I wasn't coaching and I was allowed to gamble. Probably when I was like 12, when I had a little money on it.
Allowed to gamble at 12. All right, we're finding some things out about Doug.
So here's the question. Are we saying he hasn't watched one since 12, or what's the question?
We're saying all right,
past decade.
Here's the question. Yeah. Doug Marrone has watched a Super Bowl in the past decade. Are you going to book that?
Are we talking watch it live or watch it on tape?
Either. Watch it at all, because he claims to have not watched it on
Absolutely
tape.
Book it.
He says his offensive and defensive coordinator
I don't believe he hasn't watched it or seen some of Super Bowls, either live or on tape.
Here's why I'm not going to book that.
Okay.
I'm not booking it. Our friend and the greatest head coach in the history of Arizona State University, Herm Edwards, played in Super Bowl 15, and he swore he would never watch another Super Bowl until he either played or coached in a winning one. And he has stuck true to that. Until he came to ESPN.
I was just going to say, when he came here, he watched, so you can't say you stick to that.
Well, no, he did until he became an analyst, and he had to.
He still did.
Man of his word until it became too tough.
So until it became his job, he had never done it. So it's not Doug's job to do that, so I'm going to say it's possible he hasn't done it. I'm not booking it.
I'm going to probably book this. Now, I believe he's gone out of his way to avoid it because I've watched you go out of your way to not go into a Super Bowl, even though it's been our job to be out there and it's been your job to be out there for it. You never stayed for it because you said you never played in it, correct?
Yes, I did not want to stay for it because I didn't play in it, yes.
Yeah, but I'm going to book it at some point.
You're seeing some of it.
In an honest moment. Maybe it's in a dark room by yourself so you don't have to admit to anybody
eating a bologna sandwich, as we know Doug Marrone likes to do.
Bologna and beers, watching the Super Bowl. That's the Doug Marrone way.
You call baloney on his not watching the
Yes.
Super Bowl while eating bologna.
Doug Marone, definite baloney boy. Welcome to the pack, brother.
There you go. Bologna.
Golic and Wingo.
It was all sort of one big giant Jell-O mold.
It's very interesting where that went.
Pro Football Hall of Famer Terry Bradshaw joins us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You and Terry have something very similar in common. You have both, for various reasons, decided to bare your butt in very public instances. That's true.
That is true.
You did it with the famous picture, and
Yes,
Terry,
I did.
you hear him laughing, did it in the movie Failure to Launch.
Yes, he did. That's true.
So there you go.
Hey, I saw Matthew McConaughey yesterday, and he said, Bradshaw, is that you? Turn around, let me see your butt. Bingo.
And Terry and I both work with some of the same people, so it's all a one big happy family. And Terry is
Ira sends his love to you, Trey.
Oh, he sends his love and sends a lot of other things, Terry.
Oh, Janelle Miller sends her love to you.
But love them both.
She's right there.
They're all part of the family.
Yes.
And Terry is quarterbacking a new mission with the All About Your Boom campaign to help make sure baby boomers who are 65 or older know about the risk and importance of protecting themselves against pneumococcal pneumonia. We'll get to that in a minute. But, Terry, obviously you are forever going to be a Steeler. What do you make of what's going on in that locker room right now?
Well, there's so much, Mike and Trey, to cover here. First of all, I'm disappointed that they haven't signed him because we are in a league of offense, okay? It's all about offense, and there's no more exciting player, maybe Gurley with the Rams than this guy, Le'Veon Bell. So I'm disappointed he didn't get signed. He needs to be in Pittsburgh. He'll go into the Hall of Fame if he stays in Pittsburgh. He's that kind of player, special player. And if they're going to win a Super Bowl, they need Le'Veon Bell, okay, plain and simple. I'm disappointed that he's staying out, and they haven't. And I'm also disappointed that the linemen have come out and verbally have said negative things about him, which only leads me to believe, Trey, that possibly he assured them he'd be in last Wednesday. He didn't show up, and that made him mad.
Yeah, it seems to possibly be down that road, though none of them specifically said he was going to be here and didn't show up. I'm like you, Terry, and a lot of former players stunned to hear guys publicly rip another guy, especially on the money side of it, which I've said so many times, Terry, that there's 53 guys in a locker room, and there's never a team, any year that are all holding hands singing Kumbaya together. There are relationship issues in every locker room. I'm sure even in your years where you have so many Hall of Famers and so many championships, but I'm not asking you to talk about specific things, but did you have situations where you had troubles in the locker room, but you guys kept it in the locker room?
Mike, I can honestly say we never did. The only issue we ever had, we had a Mel Blount issue where he held out for a little while. We had a Jack Lambert issue where he held out, but nobody said anything. And we had Ernie Holmes when he shot the helicopter and the Steelers in Ohio. Those are three issues that I can remember. None of them separated our locker room. None of that. We never had anything like what I've witnessed with the linemen from Pittsburgh this week.
Yeah, it's crazy, Terry. I can't remember.
Yeah, it is.
The only time I ever thought about that was when Tiki Barber said something about Michael Strahan's contract, and that relationship has never been the same since then. As Hall of Famer Terry Bradshaw is with us. Listen, it's all, as you said, we're in a league of offense, Terry, and it's all about these quarterbacks. And we've seen a couple of young ones come along in Wentz and Goff and deliver as promised. The next guy that seems to be on that track towards superstardom, even though Golic is trying to douse the fire that we're starting, is Pat Mahomes in Kansas City. What do you make of what you've seen out of him so far?
I watched Pat Mahomes at Texas Tech, and I fell out of favor with that kind of offensive quarterback because of the spread.
Right.
And so, therefore, I did not give him a really big chance of being successful with the Kansas City Chiefs. I didn't see that at all because that protects the quarterback so much. It's so hard for a quarterback to come out of that college offense and then to go into the NFL and play well. He seems to be the exception. Case Keenum right now, which I thought should have stayed in Minnesota.
Right.
They should have signed him but their thinking in Minnesota was, well, he's reached his peak. No, he hasn't. He just got it figured out, and now he's going to go forward. Although he had the 3 picks in Denver last week, he still threw 3 touchdown passes. Mahomes is really impressive. I'm real excited to watch him grow from here on. Wentz, when he gets back in there, he's the real deal. I'm curious about Allen starting this week for Buffalo. You're going to learn playing. You're not going to learn standing. I mean, anybody disagree with that?
We're with you.
I don't believe you can. You got to play, and we'll find out how well he handles adversity, because that's going to be the trigger. That's the key. Can he handle the bad? Because he's going to have a lot of it. I had a lot of it. Young quarterbacks normally have a lot of it. And then we'll see what happens in Cleveland when the number one pick finally gets, what's his name? I already forgot his name.
Baker Mayfield. Yeah.
Baker Mayfield. When he finally gets the chance to play. I really do like that kid. So it's an exciting time for the NFL with the new kids at quarterback coming on, and most of them playing doggone well.
I want to talk about...
And not forget Goff out in the Rams. He was pretty good, too.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the mental side of rookie quarterbacks. We're talking to Terry Bradshaw, 4-time Super Bowl champ, Hall of Famer, Fox NFL analyst. So these young guys, these rookies that are getting in, and I hear it all the time as well, you got to be careful or you'll lose a guy. If you can get him mentally, if he doesn't do well, he could be done for his career because he's done mentally. My thought, right, Terry, had always been, I have no problem playing these guys at an early age, and if I lose them mentally, that means maybe I didn't want them in the first place. What do you think about that part of it?
I mean, and here's my thinking. You're never going to lose them, ever, if, in fact, you have a quarterback coach, an offensive coordinator, and a head coach that are talking to him and explaining, okay, listen, this isn't your fault. We're going to get you a flanker. We're going to get you a split end. We're going to get you a tight end. We're going to get you an offensive line. You're doing, don't worry. Just keep throwing. Keep playing. If you're building him up, he'll survive. When I played, I had no offensive coordinator, no quarterback coach. My quarterback coach and coordinator was Chuck Noll, who was an offensive guard. I had no one to go and say, "Hey, you're really good. Let's get a team around you." So I think it's going to take time. But if you have that in place, these kids can survive it. Because the press can eat you up.
Well, listen, the season is off to a great start on a lot of levels, like you said, with all these young quarterbacks out there. But, Terry, we know, obviously, you're here to help people warn against protecting themselves against pneumococcal pneumonia. What more can you tell us there?
Well, first of all, I don't think any of you are 65 or older, which makes me – I am. I just turned 70, so I'm a baby boomer. Pfizer brought me in to do a campaign to spread the awareness of pneumococcal pneumonia for the baby boomers. And I do a commercial. If you go to allaboutyourboom.com, you'll see the commercial. Hey, Golic, it's some of my best work, okay? Some of my best work. You got to check this out. It's a fun spot. It's an awareness campaign, and all about pneumococcal pneumonia. And go see your doctor and check out the website, allaboutyourboom.com. All right?
We will
do that for me?
We will do it.
When you get 65, you guys aren't there yet.
Well, we got a few years.
We got a couple years, yeah.
We got a couple years left to go.
I'm holding at 70.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Just keep going. You're 70 again, and then everything works. It's all perfect.
All right, you got it.
Terry, always great to hear from you, my friend.
Thanks, Terry.
Guys. Mike, Trey, thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Golic and Wingo.
Let's not expect too much. There's only one person out there that's expecting way too much out of this guy too early. We know who that is. It's his father.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this? Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations? Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get pizza delivered right to the beach, the quad, or the dog park. Not at home? Not a problem. Find a Domino's hotspot near you and get 2 medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each. 2-item minimum. Handmade pan pizzas will be extra. Ask for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's hotspots.
Stugotz from the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, who joins us now this morning. Stu, we'll get to what you would do and what you would not do for $8.5 million. I'm guessing it's a very small list.
I don't think we want to know.
No, we don't.
You name it, Trey, I'd do it.
There it is.
You name it, I'd do it.
There it is. So where are you on the Jets hype train right now?
Listen, I don't want to get too carried away and say, the Jets are going to make the Super Bowl this year, but anything short of the AFC Championship game is going to be a major disappointment. Major disappointment. And listen, that was so much fun for Jet fans because you finally have something that Jet fans really have never had, at least not in my lifetime. I don't think. You have actual hope. You can see a game plan. You have a quarterback on a rookie contract, which allows you to go out for the next 4 years and spend a lot of money on free agents, both on the offensive side and the defensive side of the football. And then when you saw it of Sam Darnold after making that disastrous first play, that was so Jets. My God, was that so Jets, the pick six on the first play. But to bounce back like that as a rookie in your first start on the road was super impressive. I mean, I spent the entire evening hugging my dog, hugging my daughters, hugging my wife, running around the neighborhood and just hugging random strangers. And I was telling everyone, I've got a quarterback. I've got a football team because I think I finally might have a quarterback for the next decade.
But you're a Jets fan, so don't you look up and wait for something to fall on your head?
Yes, like he's going to get hurt or they're going to lose the next 5 games or, Ryan Tannehill's going to be a lot better than him. Yes, I am waiting. Yes, Mike, this is all too good to be true. Something bad is going to happen and it's going to happen here in the next couple of weeks. It's why I was getting mad at Trey. Like, I don't want too many people too many credible people. I mean, I can talk about it all I want. I'm not credible. But too many credible people talking about how great Sam Darnold is. That's why I left you the voicemail yesterday, Trey. Keep that name out of your mouth for right now, okay? Let me enjoy my day. Let me enjoy my week and stop jinxing it. Trey, will you knock it off?
Darnold. Here's the best part, though. This is why I love Stu. He said, I'm a Jets fan. I've never had this in my lifetime. Dude, less than a decade ago, your team went to the AFC Championship game 2 straight years.
Yeah, we went to back-to-back AFC Championship games, but there were still questions as to whether or not we had the quarterback, Trey. Like, he handed the ball off 30 times a game. Listen, he made a lot of plays, but that was all defense and running game. And yes, you're right. We had some hope there, back-to-back AFC Championship games. But you remember, I think maybe just a year later, the butt fumble, and they were booing him, telling him to go to hell and asking Tebow to save him as he walked off the field at halftime. And trust me, we'll do that to Sam Darnold, too. We will do that to Sam Darnold. If at halftime against the Dolphins this week, a big AFC East showdown, week 2, how about that? But if he plays a terrible half and the Jets are down, 23-3 at half, I mean, you'll hear the boos. I promise you, you will hear the boos by halftime.
Any issue with the Buffalo Bills going to another rookie quarterback now in Josh Allen? I mean, it's working out right now with Darnold. I don't know what your view is on rookies starting so early, but Buffalo Bills making that move.
Mike, well, it's interesting. What do you think? Because the offense, at least the Jets have some skill position players. They have some people around Sam Darnold. They do. They have some people. Do the Bills have anyone? Like the reason they started Peterman, I think, was because they didn't want to put Josh Allen behind that offensive line. Has that offensive line changed at all? It's still a terrible offensive line. So, I don't know. I guess you got to throw him out there sometime, Mike. What do you think about that? Because I find it strange. You don't want to start him in week 1 because the offensive line was so bad. You want to keep him healthy, but Peterman was so bad in the first week, so now you want to start him in week 2? Does that make sense to you, Mike?
Yeah, it's fine by me. Start the clock. I have no idea, because it's one thing to not be good, but it's another thing to not be that good and turn the ball over. You're just really – now, Peterman's not the only problem out there. They have other issues as well. They're not going to be a very good football team. I have no problem starting the clock. You have a quarterback, especially behind a bad offensive line, who can move better. Allen can move better than Peterman, so at least he can be athletic and get the hell out of the way and maybe not take as many hits. He does hang on to the ball a little long, but I am a fan of, if your team isn't going to be what you want it to be this year, go ahead and start the clock. Give that guy some playing time, because I know all the people that say have him sit and watch. I'm a believer in you can sit and watch all you want until you get out there and until you get out there and face the live, fast defenses. That's when you're truly going to improve. Maybe a little early, but nothing wrong with getting your nose bloodied a little bit.
Yeah,
but Mike, if you're a player on that team, I'm always interested in the player's mentality. If you're a player on that team, do you want Josh Allen you want him now, right? You want to see what that kid has right now?
Well, normally, because that's a great question, because a lot of times if a rookie doesn't start and then you go to a rookie, everybody else in that locker room says, well, we've given up on the season because now we're going to a rookie. The unfortunate part with Peterman, who did outplay Josh Allen in the preseason, and by that merit did deserve to be the starter, just turns the ball over too much. And everybody in that locker room knows you cannot, even if you, especially if you're not a good team, you cannot add to it by turning the ball over. Not to say Josh Allen's not going to turn the ball over, but he will. But my thought is, if you're going to do it, at least get this guy the experience along the way.
Yeah, look, this is, I think we've established that we sort of know what Nathan Peterman is, or what they believe they know what he is. So you drafted this guy for a reason. Might as well start this thing going. Now, many people may not know this. Stugotz, besides being a Jets fan, you're also a Mets fan, correct?
Yes.
So you're cursed, basically.
Yeah, I'm cursed. Yep. Those things kind of go hand in hand. If you grew up in Long Island, Trey, you were a Mets, Jets, Islanders fan. Everyone else was, Knicks, Rangers.
And the Yankees and the Giants and all that kind of stuff. So we have sort of embraced the idea that Jacob deGrom should win the National League and Cy Young this year because of the amazing things he's done. His ERA is 1.71, by far the best in the bigs. He's had 26 straight games where he's given up 3 earned runs or fewer. That's never happened before in Major League history. Michael Wilbon disagrees with our philosophy that he should win the Cy Young Award, and this is what he had to say on PTI.
If you sit there and get me metrics, I should just stage a walkout of the show.
I didn't give you analytics. I gave you metrics.
Garbage.
Metrics.
Okay? Because if he goes,
now it's garbage.
Like 8 and 11 and he wins the Cy Young, all the people voting for the Cy Young should be dismissed. And they should bring a new panel in and let them vote. Okay. Because any body of voters that decides there's something more important than winning and they're going to pin this on numbers, they're an embarrassment and you join them if you want.
Thoughts?
That's what I used to sound like when I said dopey things like that. I used to agree with Michael Wilbon. Like, it's all about wins. Wow, I sounded terrible when I was saying that all those years. Seriously, so according to Michael Wilbon's theory here, or logic here, a guy who goes 17-5 with a 4.8 ERA because his team has a better offense is more deserving of the Cy Young than Jacob deGrom, who Tim Kurkjian told us was the best pitcher in baseball. He told us that last week. He's been the best pitcher in baseball start to finish. I'll go with Tim Kurkjian's thoughts on who the best pitcher in baseball is, with all due respect to Michael Wilbon, over Michael Wilbon. Jacob deGrom has been the best pitcher. If Jacob deGrom was on the Red Sox, was on the Yankees, was on Michael Wilbon's Cubs, was on a better team, he'd have the wins to go with all those great numbers that he's put up. He is clearly the Cy Young. He deserves it. I don't care how many wins he ends up with. He is the Cy Young. He's been the best pitcher in baseball, guys. There's no debating that. From start to finish, he has been the best pitcher in baseball.
Yep, I would have no problem if he wins it. I think Scherzer is going to win it, but if deGrom wins it, he would be very, very well deserving of it. All right, Stu, I know you've been a coach. You coach your daughter's lacrosse team, so you have that locker room vibe as well of dealing with players and coaching them as well. Le'Veon Bell comes back into that locker room. What happens with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
You give him a big hug because he makes your football team better. I mean, that's it, right? He makes your football team better. I know Connor had a big game, but Le'Veon Bell is maybe the best running back in the NFL. Him, Todd Gurley, one of those two guys. You give him a big hug and you move on. I mean, Mike, what do you do in that spot? I was surprised to hear some of the Steelers' offensive linemen come after him the way they did. Le'Veon Bell, in my opinion, is doing the right thing. You can make an argument that the running back position is completely interchangeable. Maybe it is, but he happens to be one of the 2 or 3 best. He's only 25 years old, and someone's going to pay him the money that he wants, the long-term guaranteed money that Le'Veon Bell wants. Someone's eventually going to do it, so I happen to think he should sit out until he gets that deal. But, Mike, how would you react if Le'Veon Bell came back week 3? Because, listen, I think a lot of players are upset, right, Mike? Because maybe he made some promises to the offensive line that he would be back, ended up not coming back, but still, that is his money, man, and he's entitled to do. He's entitled to do with his life, his football life, what he wants.
The only thing I'll say about the promises is that O-line ripped him so much publicly, but not one of them said he was going to be here and he didn't. If they went ahead and ripped him the way they did, and that truly happened, I believe one of them would have said it. So I don't know what promises that he made, and I was stunned that they said what he said. The only reason, and I agree with you, you kiss and you make up for the good of the team because everybody wants to win. The only caveat here is, I think, that they all know after this year he's not going to be part of the team anymore. So you're going to come kiss and make up with a guy for X amount of weeks whenever he comes back, and then he's going to move on and you're going to move on. So I think while they may hug and kiss and make up, it may not be a true, hey, we're in this now for the long haul. It's just like, okay, we're going to get together as business associates for the next X amount of weeks and then be done with one another.
Yeah, but Mike, he makes, for this season and this season only, he makes your team better.
Oh, yes, he does.
Right. Everyone in that locker room has a better chance of making it to winning a Super Bowl if Le'Veon Bell is a part of that locker room. And the turnover in the NFL, Mike, a lot of guys won't be there next year. There are a lot of guys that won't be there next year. So, I don't know, man. Talent's talent. Like, I always welcome talent to my locker room. I don't care how much talent we have.
I agree with that.
Yeah, if you're talented, we'll take you. Let's go.
And he is extremely talented. And Connor played great, but Dan Graziano did a great article on .com this week about the hidden things that were lost in Le'Veon Bell, how you defend him and how you wouldn't defend Connor. All right, Stugotz, always a pleasure to have you on the show. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Stu.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Golic.
Makes me want to vomit and then punch you square in the face.
And Wingo.
Oh, he's saucy today.
All right, Golic and Wingo here with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Before we get to Bubba and do Love It or Shove It technically, I've seen something on the internet that I can't unsee, and it needs to be shoved as far away from me as humanly possible. It's a picture, a video of a pair of fighting snakes that have fallen through a family's bedroom ceiling in Brisbane, Australia.
Oh, yeah.
And someone is narrating it as, we have our first fighting snakes of the season. Here's what they're doing, blah, 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 blah. It is terrifying.
Yeah, it's on their floor. Came through on their floor from the ceiling, to which my daughter quickly tweeted, burning down my house and starting every aspect of my life over if this happens to me.
I just tweeted, welcome to hell.
I mean,
this is my hell.
It's unreal. And these aren't little tiny snakes either.
By the way, everything in Australia is poisonous. So to be clear,
that's exactly
I was there this
right.
summer, and I love Australia. I don't think I'm ever going to Brisbane because of this video. It is frightening beyond belief.
Agreed.
All right, so I just had to get that out because it really shook me. As does seeing Bubba in every once in a while. He kind of shakes me up as well. Bubba, how are we?
Doing all right.
You ready for a little Love It or Shove It? Brought to you by Granger?
Granger, yeah. No, I was thinking because I got the call yesterday from my agent that you guys want to do this today, and I thought, yeah, of course. First day fall book, they want ratings. So, no, I get it.
Your agent?
Agent.
Yeah, I'd rather not say.
Does he have a name?
Of course he does, yeah.
Is it real? Is it mythical?
Yeah, so he calls and sets up the whole thing. And he said, the guys need you Thursday. I'm like, first day fall book.
Right.
Bring in ratings Peregrine. Let's go.
Wow, there's Cliff just raining on your parade right there, hitting the button.
Like anyone cares what Cliff says.
Wow! The feud continues. All right, go ahead. Let's go.
All right, we got some questions here. Mm-hmm. This is the year the Bengals will win a playoff game. Love it or shove it.
Wow. I mean, I do like what they look like with their defense. Weapons on offense and their defense as well. I do, but I don't think I can go that far. I mean, am I going all the way to winning a playoff game? You know, Andy Dalton, we see the good of Andy, we see the bad of Andy. I don't think they're very deep. We're still banking a lot on Tyler Eifert being healthy, which is something that he hasn't been able to do the last couple of years. I can't book that. I'm going to have to shove it. I can't. I'm mixing two things.
You cross-pollinated.
I did.
I don't care if you can book it.
I'm not booking it.
I could care less.
I'm not booking it, and I'm shoving it. They're not going to win a playoff game.
All right.
I want to love it.
I really do want to love it,
but I need to see more. I got to have more. So at this point, I'm going to have to shove it because I don't have enough material on which to grade them.
All right. The Bills are making the right move, starting Josh Allen. Love it or shove it.
Well done with the quote-unquote right move, something that
am pipe, am pipe.
Their coach said 14 times within a minute or in his presser about this move, the right move. I love this. I'm fine with it. I have no problem with it at all. It's a team that is going to be hurting this year. He's actually a more athletic quarterback than Peterman is, and with that offensive line struggling, he's going to have to move a little bit more. He's going to have a lot of downs and some ups. There's no doubt about that, but I never have a problem with starting the clock on a rookie quarterback, especially with a team that really doesn't have a lot looking toward the postseason this year like they did last year when they made it into the postseason. So I love this.
Here's the deal. I don't know if it's the right move. It's their only move. I mean, it's their only move. Nathan Peterman is not going to be the answer. I think we can all agree on that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so is it it has to be the right move because it's their only move. So yeah, I'm gonna love that one because they really have no other choice at this point.
Forget about the Cy Young, future Hall of Famer and all around nice guy Jacob deGrom should put it in the books.
You put it in the books.
Nice. And win the NL MVP award.
Oh, the NL
NL MVP award. Love it or shove it.
It's interesting. There really isn't a clear-cut favorite in the National League. I think what Javi Baez were saying is like the betting favorite. You have Matt Carpenter. You have Arenado and Story from Colorado. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, though, and say MVP. I could easily see him winning the Cy Young, but I'm not. No, I'm going to shove this one as far as the MVP award.
Yeah, I'm going to have to listen. First of all, let's put the numbers out there just so people understand one
get
more
the
time.
Numbers out there.
Clayton Kershaw won the Cy Young and the MVP in 2014. He had 27 starts, an ERA of 1.77, and struck out under 11 per 9 innings. Jacob deGrom this season already has 2 more starts, a lower ERA than Clayton Kershaw had in 2014, and is striking out more per 9 innings. I'm going to have to shove this. By the way, we are all in on the Jacob deGrom bandwagon for the Cy Young. We are all in.
Jacob deGrom for NL Cy Young 2018.
Yes, that's us. We're in it.
We are on the bandwagon, but I'm going to shove the MVP award.
It's a questionable bandwagon, but I guess.
This entire segment is questionable.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except for Granger, because they're the ones that get it done.
they're great.
They get it done.
Great guys, yeah. Do you have a Granger Live read coming up later? Let me know. Ohio State will lose to TCU in Dallas on Saturday. Love it or shove it.
Yeah, last game of Urban Meyer's suspension. They're 13-point favorites. I can't. I'm going to have to shove this. I don't think they're going to lose. This game is in Arlington, AT&T Stadium. So neutral site, even though TCU is in Texas and Ohio State isn't.
Is not in Texas.
But I like Ohio State in this one. I don't see him losing this one, and I don't think the Urban Meyer suspension is affecting the team at all right now. He just can't be there on game day. He's there doing everything with the team during the week, so I'm going to shove this one.
Yeah, I'm going to shove it too. Ohio State's been very impressive, and I don't think they have any interest in letting off the gas. Now, look, TCU is a pretty good team.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're Ohio State's on Ohio State's level right now. So I would have to shove that one as well.
Also, I'll just do your job. We'll have TCU head coach Gary Patterson on the show tomorrow, 9:05 a.m. Eastern. So
excellent.
Good job out of you
for that. Yeah.
Well done.
I mean, someone's got to host.
Well done.
Baker Mayfield will be the last of the first-round rookie quarterbacks to start this season. Love it or shove it.
I'm probably going to shove that. I would say, and
these
now
are
again,
terrible love it or shove it that you came up with. I just want you to know that these are the worst you've ever had.
Wow.
Why would you say that?
Why would you say
true.
that?
I mean, A, it's not true.
Yeah.
B, grow up.
Yeah.
C, Granger.
There you go, because they get it done.
Well, congratulations for today's non sequitur, but continue.
I'm going to shove this again, barring injury. Injury, you never know what's going to happen, but it would be Lamar Jackson,
right?
From Baltimore. So I think Baker, Tyrod Taylor, even though they had the tie and it's better than a loss, he was 15 of 40. Certainly there were struggles there.
There were a few missed throws.
Yeah, there were.
No question.
I'm going to shove this one because barring injury, I think Lamar Jackson would be that person.
I agree. I'm going to shove that one as well. And again, I think that both Hugh Jackson and John Dorsey have a plan that they have in place for Baker Mayfield. And I don't think any other rookie quarterback, what they do or what they don't do, is going to alter that plan. I think they have how they want to work it and how they want to see it play out, and I don't think they're going to alter that. We don't know exactly what that is. I think we'll see him at some point this season.
Yeah, we will.
But I would agree with you. I think of all those to start, barring an injury to Joe Flacco, I think that Lamar Jackson would be the last, so I am going to shove that one.
The loser of the Giants-Cowboys game will finish in last place in the NFC East. Love it or shove it.
I do think one of those teams is going to be last because I think Washington is way better than people are getting them credit for.
Agreed.
I still think Philly is the favorite.
So the Giants will be last. Got it.
So cool. I'm going to love that. I'm going to say I'll go and love it because one of those teams is going to be, so why not just pick the loser of this game, which, of course, you think will be the Giants losing this game because you're a Dallas Cowboy fan.
I'm going to love that one as well. And, again, we can get into this tomorrow when we go through all the games. We got the game tonight. But going 0-2, I get it. The Saints made the playoffs last year going 0-2. Going back to the start of this current playoff format in 1990, you start out 0-2, your chances of making the playoffs are 8%. 8%.
Plus, let's look at that 0-2 Saints team. You have Drew Brees, who puts up all kind of numbers on offense, and their defense played exceptional last year. Neither one of these teams compares to what New Orleans was last year offensively and defensively.
No, so yeah.
I thought it was a good last question.
That was
Bubba,
a great. You saved the
so
segment for the last question.
Yeah, no, that was a good question. They were all pretty good. Yeah.
Now, quickly, because clock integrity, give us the billboard.
Yeah, no, fall book for sure. Love It or Shove is brought to you by Granger, the products and services you need when you need them. Granger's got your back to help keep your facility running. Granger for the ones who get it done, like me and DeGrom.
We're all in. We're all in on the DeGrom bandwagon.
This has been the Best of Golic and Wingo podcast. You can listen or subscribe on the ESPN app, Apple Podcasts, or just ask your smart speaker to play Golic and Wingo. Plus, you can check the guys out live weekday mornings from 6 to 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN News.
Remember when you couldn't order a ride at the press of a button? Or get online without hearing this? Or get Domino's delivered to over 150,000 unexpected outdoor locations? Wait, what? Introducing Domino's Hotspots. You can finally get pizza delivered right to the beach, the quad, or the dog park. Not at home? Not a problem. Find a Domino's hotspot near you and get 2 medium 2-topping pizzas delivered for $5.99 each. 2-item minimum. Handmade pan pizzas will be extra asked for this limited time offer. Prices, participation, delivery area, and charges may vary. Restrictions apply. Visit Domino's.com for details on Domino's hotspots.